How's it going, everyone? Geoff Chrysler, a detail enthusiast and owner of Rightway Heritage Trimming, and I'm here to show you my next upholstery trimming project. This beautiful 1961 AC Ace Bristol. This is one of the ones with a Bristol engine, and it's a local car actually, and it's been undergoing restoration for about the past 15 years. Changed hands a few times, and owner passed away, and it sat for a long time in pieces. But here we are. It's all built up. We're getting her finished. It's running. He drove it here today. Let's get a good look at this beautiful Bristol engine. A piece of art, in my opinion. This was put together by Richard Owen, help of his dad Michael Owen and Tom Monroe. But I believe the engine itself, they sent it to Britain to be rebuilt and machined by a company that specializes in these Bristol engines. So that was all done in Britain, and then they sent it back and, you know, painted it and detailed it and installed it and got it running. So beautiful engine, work of art. Love this. All the original finishes and that. I know Richard spent a lot of time, so great job, everyone. This is just beautiful, and boy does it sound good. This whole car has been a local group effort. Of course, Coachworks did the metal and paint on this car, did a beautiful job, and Richard and Tom and Michael have been doing most of the assembly work, and I'm of course doing the interior. So yeah, just loving the color of the block there. It's that like a light greenish beige color. And here's this side. You can see these big headers, the build plate for it. Really neat car. And wow, what a work of art. Now the only thing is that apparently it runs very hot, and they're gonna need some sort of extra cooling because this little twin blade fan is all that it has, and it's just not sufficient. I mean, it does have a really big radiator, but you can see the distance there. It's not really enough to cool it unless you're at speed. So they're gonna have to do something to get it cooling better, probably adding a fan to the front there. But, you know, there's tons of room to do whatever you want. No wonder Carol Shelby saw this and said, oh, I can probably put a V8 in there. There's plenty of room. So, but boy, these original Bristol engines are work of art, I think. Just love how that looks with the triple carburetors. Wow. And you can see actually, to help with the cooling, there is an oil cooler down in front there. So these are the hoses coming down to here, and that's your whole filter assembly. And actually that's for your oil temperature gauge. You can see the little line coming out of there. And this is kind of interesting. It has a mechanical fuel pump here, but it also has an SU electric fuel pump in the boot. So not sure what the story is there. Richard was saying that the race cars had the twin fuel pumps, but street cars just had the one. So, but this one has both of them anyway. So yeah, no shortage of fuel pressure coming to the carburetors on this. And yeah, and I've been slowly providing interior pieces as they needed. I did the seats a few years ago, and the dashboard and all the leather bits and pieces. And so over the next few weeks, I'll be installing the custom carpet set I've made, all from original. It was very nice, you know, when I was first offered this project, I went over to the owner's house and he had all of the original trim from the car in boxes. It had all been carefully removed and saved. So I've been able to reproduce everything exactly as original, using the original stuff as patterns. So yeah, it's going to be a really nice project to do. Really looking forward to getting into this one. So these cars run very hot, and so he's asked that I use as much insulation as I can to help with heat and sound deadening on the inside. So I'll be using more of the that 3M heat and sound deadening stuff, the 12-inch square pieces that are peel and stick. You can see they've already done some on the firewall in the back of the glove box there. I'm gonna have to build a back panel for that glove compartment. And but yeah, so I'll be starting off by putting more of that 3M stuff on the floors and in the toe boards and areas that are gonna be dealing with all the heat. And then probably, as the original had, there was some jute in those areas as well. So a bit of jute, and then of course carpet. So I'll take you through it as we go. Let's get into it. Okay, so once again, to start off, I'm going to insulate this car with these peel and stick anti-vibration and heat pads. They're just square. You can cut them with scissors to shape, and they work really well. We put them on most of our cars along the firewall and any areas that you want to avoid heat and vibration. So I'll be doing the toe boards and inner parts here, and probably on the floors as well. And I've been going through, I'd already made a basic carpet set for this, but now that the car's here, I can perfect it and get it. And I've just been going piece by piece and making sure it's exactly right. Cutting a piece of 1/2-inch insulation that I'm putting under the carpets, at least for all of the tunnel and toe board and floor areas. I'm doing this insulation on top of the 3M. These did have 1/4-inch jute originally, so replicating that. So these pieces are ready to install. With each piece I get it perfected and then do the final binding wherever it gets it. So yeah, we'll be carrying on with installing all the insulation and carpet. Okay, so plugging along here, I've been installing all of that 3M insulation tiles. I've done the whole tunnel and all up in the toe boards and the main floors. So she's ready to start installing carpet. And first few pieces of carpet that I've installed here are these little frame cover pieces. They wrap over the tubular frame here. And so to get the carpet to do that, you actually have to soak the carpet. So yeah, I just use like a spray bottle and soak the carpet really good from the back side and the front side, and let it dry for, let it sit for a couple hours at least, and then I double glue it and it nicely conforms over that irregular shape. Of course you have to cut some relief cuts, but you'd never do it without soaking that carpet first. Of course I bound the top edge here. I got to clean the glue away, but and then there'll be leather covering the frame all the way up here. So so yeah, carpet's ready to start installing. First piece to go in is this piece behind the heater, and like I say, these two pieces, and then everything else will have jute with it. So including all the main tunnel pieces, toe boards, and main floors, they all have 1/2-inch jute with them, actually 1/4-inch actually. And then of course you can see the rear wheel arches are covered in leather as well. So I've installed those, so carpet, that will come up to it, so you got to put the leather in first. So yeah, we're ready to start installing carpet, and I'll show you some of the carpet pieces. To make things easier, I've already pre-backed them with the insulation, so I've already cut those pieces to fit and glued them to the back of the carpet, leaving carpet a little bit longer where it overlaps other pieces. So yeah, makes it really straightforward, so I can just glue these up and install them. These are the pieces for under the door sills. Yeah, so I can start installing all of this stuff and show you how it goes. Couple more pieces here I forgot to mention that have to go in before I get going with the carpet too much is these covers for these guys. So I've already cut them to fit, so I'm just going to glue them up and trim those support rods there. And once those are in, I'll final glue this guy in and then start putting in the tunnel around it. Okay, so coming along here, I've got the toe boards going in, just the left side and front toe board, and same thing on the passenger side. We've got the toe boards going in. We've got that heater carpet in, and then moving back here, I've installed all this rear, there's like an upper panel here that's leather covered. I've just wiped off the excess glue recently, so that's what you see. But yeah, leather covered panel that goes in first, and then this lower carpet piece is glues to it, and then you can put in the tunnel sections. This series of AC had 3 tunnels pieces, so the first one goes on, and then the second one is like a bridger piece, and then the front one goes on finally. And they're all joined with bound edges, and I believe these 2 front ones are going to be snapped in place while this rear one is glued in place. And you can just lift up the lower flap. The juke comes just down to the edge, so you can easily lift up the flap if you need to remove that tunnel. So yeah, coming along, I'll show you the rest of it. Okay, coming right along here. As you can see, I got the sill carpets installed and made the holes for the seat belt mounts. And only thing left to do over there is to add the leather pieces in behind. I'm gonna have to remove both doors to redo those pockets. There's a big piece of carpet that goes in the door under the pocket that should have gone in first. So I'm gonna have to take those off and redo them. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal though. And of course, there was an issue with the fitment of the door. This is going to need to be skived, this leather. So I have to get it paper thin so that the door closes and sits flush with the body, because that'll hold it out. I'll do my best to thin this out as much as I possibly can and make it work. So yeah, meanwhile, carpet-wise, I've just been rolling along. I've got, you can see here, the toe board carpets are in, and all the way around I've got the tunnel installed with its 3 pieces. Only thing I've still got to do, originally there were some lift the dot snaps right in here that held this down, but you can see there I've already put a carpet snap there. It snaps to itself, but I think that snap should go all the way down to the bottom and have a mount. Right now I've just got a sewn flap on here that the carpet snap is snapping to, so it keeps them together, but it's not keeping it down. It needs to be a snap that's screwed to the actual tunnel. So that'll be something I have to add still. So yeah, basically we're looking at the main floor mats next, with their jute underpads. As you can see, I cut around where the seat tracks have to go. It's very important not to float over the holes you need. So yeah, this is coming right along. And of course this carpet set is, and everything I'm making for this AC Ace, I've been making patterns from the original stuff, so this will be available. Now, I believe there were some variations on these AC Aces as they evolve. There's slightly different body styles, and that may have affected interior things as well, but certainly for the 6061 AC Ace, I will have panels and carpets and everything like that available for others. So I've had to take the doors off because, like I say, this pocket shouldn't have been installed at this stage. It's there's first got to be a piece of carpet that goes on the inside here, tight into the frame all the way around, and then this pocket gets fit. And however, you know, seeing how it wasn't fitting very well, you know, I'm gonna need to pull it much tighter like this to get those wrinkles out. Wrinkles always show you the direction it needs to go. So, and to do that and not, see there's an elastic in here, and I'm gonna have to re-stitch here to capture that elastics right on the edge of the frame here. So I've drawn it where I've got to run the stitch, and basically everything beyond the stitch going this way I can thin down and even skive the leather. I usually do that by hand with some razor blades and just carefully skive away the thickness of the leather. and on a piece of glass, and we'll get that nice and thin there. Same with this one. I can skive this a little bit more so that these hinges have little to no thickness. Little things that you got to do as a trimmer. So of course I've had to drill out the rivets that hold this in place. There's a metal strip in here that the leather glues to, and then it gets riveted in place. So yeah, we'll be putting that back in. I'm going to leave the strip exactly where it is. We're going to reuse the same rivet holes. I can trim this down a little bit, and like I say, the majority of the work has to be done here. So it's actually good that this was installed, because now I know, you know, it needs to do that to sit properly, and that means that the stitch for that elastic needs to be back here rather than up here where I had it. So we'll make that adjustment, and then we'll do the next door after this. Okay, and there you see I've put in the piece of carpet and just cut it to shape so it neatly tucks under the tubing all the way around, and glued it to the inner face. So now I can come back and put that pocket on and make sure it's nice and tight going across, and then reattach the latch assembly. And then there's actually a sewn leather strap that goes from the latch handle up to here. It ties onto here, and there's a little loop that goes onto the latch handle here. So you can either reach in and work the handle with there, but also, or you can pull down on the cord, which also pulls the handle. So, in fact, these are identical to Austin Healey 100 door latches. Even has this same lever coming up to the top. It's just these ACs have this style of a knob, whereas the hundreds have like a longer knob that protrudes through the door opening. But neat. These ACs are just a conglomeration of all the different parts being made in Britain at the time. So whatever they could get their hands on, they're using. So there's parts that you find on ACs that are similar to Healeys and MGs and Jags and everything made in Britain at the time. It's pretty neat. And here we go. I've got the pockets adjusted. I adjusted where the stitch was. I skived all the back of this here, so it's just thin, single thickness, not double thickness, and thinned out at that. And then re-riveted it in its original holes and put this all back on. Put the strap back on in its original hole. It wasn't even catching this before, but like it should go over top of it like that. So yeah, this is pulled much further over as it should be, gets the wrinkles out, comes right to the outer edge like it should. So that's looking much better. I can offer it up to the car again and see how she goes. And there we go, looks much better. Nice and smooth along there. It was sticking out quite a bit if you had it in there, the thickness of the leather, so that's looking a lot better now. Can live with that. On to the next one. Okay, and there we are with the door reinstalled. I got that pocket nice and tight. I've skived the whole area behind the hinges, so it's nice and thin there now. I've attached the door opening strap, nice tight fit there, so you gotta pop it over the end of the knob. And I've trimmed that frame rail there in leather before I put the door back on. And yeah, that's looking really good now. And now, as you can see, I've just offered up the front seat, not permanently. I've still got to do the floor mats, obviously, but I just wanted to see how it's going to fit with this tunnel. I don't want to get too much thickness with the tunnel. I want to keep it down nice and thin. And this is going to be just fine. So really happy about that. So I'll take that seat back out of there, and I'll do the other door panel and then finish making these floor mats so that they fit beautifully. Okay, and that is the carpet all installed. I've just finished custom tailoring the front mats. They've got the jute laminated to the undersides of them like I've been doing. So I believe that these carpets may have originally been a one piece that did the entire floor. There seemed to be evidence like when I got the original carpets out of this, it was two pieces like this with the transition under the seat, but it had been crudely cut with scissors and not very straight, so it looked like somebody maybe had done that at some point. So I think they were one piece, but at the same time, if it is one piece, then the seat would hold it down. You'd never be able to take it out. So I wanted to make it so you could remove the main front part of the mat if it ever got wet. So I left the transition under the seat where it is and just made the front part removable. The rear seat, which is almost totally under the seat, I've glued in place as it is. And again, originally there didn't seem to be any binding on these front mats, but I've bound these ones just to make them a little nicer. And again, if they're going to be removable, I'd rather have them bound. So, and as you can see, I got the door panels all nicely redone with the carpet in behind and the pocket and the pull lanyard. Those look really good now and line up nicely. And of course, I've installed the seat belts. Here's all this rear area looking beautiful. So yeah, this is really coming along nice. I added a heel pad to the driver's side. Yeah, this is looking great. There's those pieces that I covered in leather earlier. And I've been coming along just, and like the factory does, anywhere it needs it, like some of these corners, I've been adding a trim screw and washer, so there on both sides. Yeah, just anywhere it needs it. Again, I've still got to hold this down, which I've figured, I found the original holes actually, so I'm going to be able to put the proper snaps in. So I've yet to do that there. But other than that, other than putting the snaps in right there and putting these couple trim screws in, we're pretty much ready to install the seats. Now, before I put these seats in the car, I just wanted to show you guys this interesting little feature. The seats are covered in carpet on the backs of them originally, and but the way they do these sides is there's wood strips that are on top of the seat tracks. These are the original seat tracks, the original wood. And then these carpet pieces come down and glued and tacked to the wood, almost like a skirt sort of thing. So it comes right down to the floor, the way you see it, you know, from the top side. Really neat kind of little feature that I've never seen before on any other style of seats. And here we are with the seats installed. Wow. And front mats put in. That basically finishes off the cabin interior. And wow, does it ever look stunning. Really happy with that. Just beautiful. And I warmed up the seats to help with reducing the wrinkles that had accumulated just from using them. Yeah. It's the rewarding thing about leather is a nice hot sunny day and all your wrinkles kind of fade away. Really responsive to heat. So yeah, this is looking great. So I'll be able to carry on now with trimming the boot interior, and he's still got to get a latch there to keep that closed. Oh, and I've still got to do a back wall for that glove compartment. So I'm gonna have to make a pattern and make a leather covered back piece there. But other than that, this is looking really great. Just beautiful. Got these doors redone, the pockets fitting beautifully. Love that old heater in there with the paper hoses. The AC pedals and just wow. Nice leather covered dash. Just beautiful. So very happy with that. We'll continue on now with the boot interior. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you the inside of the boot here on the AC before I start trimming anything. We've just gone with a black color, although I believe most of these were like a primer brown actually on the sides, and then there was carpet on the shelf here, and then usually a sorry about that, a ribbed rubber floor mat here on the floor. And of course the spare wheel takes up the majority of the space here. You can see there's a cutout for it there. It sits in the middle. I've just got it taken out for now. And of course the fuel pump is back here, totally exposed, so it's easy access, which is pretty neat. And it's really interesting, the tail lights on this. It's just a reflector on the outside, and on the inside you've got this bulb that's, again, totally accessible, really easy to just change the bulb anytime, and it just shines through. And of course, you know, it would also light up this entire area too, which is pretty neat. Okay, and the boot, which is pretty simple anyway, is now trimmed. So it's just 3 pieces. First piece to put in was the vinyl here on the front face. I had to remove the fuel pump temporarily, just unscrewed it, put the vinyl in and then popped it back in. And then put the carpet piece on the top there. It's bound on the edge. So you got that shelf up there. I believe that's where that side screen bag goes, and I think those straps on either end attach to these frame members to hold it in place. So the whole thing is just sitting there accessibly. You can pull the side screens out and the bag will stay behind. So, and then this, the owner asked me to do carpet back here rather than just the ribbed rubber floor mat, which is what these originally had. So I've done the carpet, and that's where the spare wheel goes. And he's also asked me to do a spare wheel cover. So I'm gonna offer up the wheel, and then I'll have to make a pattern based on the wheel to make a cover for it in probably a matching blue vinyl or leather. So just starting off here this morning, obviously I've taped off the top of the windshield as I'm gonna be test fitting its original top just to see if I can use it as a pattern. I mean, I'll use it as a pattern anyway, but I want to see how much shrink I have to account for. So we'll be test fitting that. But right now, this is the original tonneau for it. And I've already made the new tonneau for it, but this is my first time actually test fitting the original. So I made mine a bit oversized, so it should be actually perfect for how much this is shrunk. It's shrunk just a bit, you know, I can't get the other side done up. It's too tight. This side barely, it's really tight on there. And then if you come around, this all used lift-a-dot on these ACs, no 10X. It's all just lift-a-dot. And you can see it's got this extra little strap that's sewn in on a 45-degree angle coming off the corner like that. But there's nothing for it to go to on the other side here. I wonder if one of those screws, mounting screws, should have a male snap as part of it. I believe that's probably what they did there. So either that or there would be a snap on the actual scuttle there somewhere. But if there's no holes there originally, because we've reused all the original holes otherwise, so it must be one of those mounting screws gets a snap on it. Interesting. And here is my new tonneau cover, and fits great, and it's got all the new lift-a-dot fasteners. This is, if I can zoom in okay, this is the material that I got to reproduce that special textured material that this stuff was made out of. So it's cotton backing, just like Everflex or any other canvas topping, so it is a proper topping material. So yeah, really captures the look of that original material. And that I did add that little strap, found that it is an original piece, so it's there. I still have to install the snap though, and if you look, there is the original hole just on the face of the scuttle there. So it will get a male button snap there, and so it just holds it in place like that. So that zipper area was not meant to come up and over for some reason. I guess just so you don't disturb the mirror too much and the zipper stays off of the paintwork. So it's just both sides that come up and over onto the scuttle, and that just comes up to the scuttle. So interesting design there. But yeah, so I just finished installing this now, so it needs a nice day in the sun to pull out all the rest of the wrinkles, because it's been sitting folded up on a shelf for about 2 years now, so it's gonna need some stretching out, but came out really nice, so we can leave that on for a few days and carry on with the top. Okay, a few more things. Here's the original top frame. You can see it's just separates in the middle there, so easy stowage, and needs to be refinished, of course, but I can at least fit the top. And it's just a single bow with the rear piece that folds out. And this beautiful piece, the original side screens in their original bag, and really unique. Of course, the top, the tonneau, and these side screens, all this weather equipment is done in this special vinyl originally. So I've been able to find a good replacement of that, which is good. But yeah, unique type of vinyl they used on these ACs. And yeah, these Perspex side screens, they peg into the tops of the doors here, and then you've got this window section that just rolls up like this. Really neat, with a little handle made out of the same Perspex. So really great piece there. And then of course the side screen bag, of course he's got a piece of blanket in there to protect the screens, but yeah, really neat bag. Of course, this is just in a regular vinyl, black vinyl, but it's got standard size snaps. They're not the tiny ones like earlier Healy's had. Of course, this is 1961, so they've got later hardware happening by then. And then the ends here, it's like vinyl trimmed over a panel board, so they're rigid ends to keep its shape. Of course, the flap that folds over and snaps down, but it's got these interesting straps with lift-the-dots on both sides. So I'm presuming that's how it mounts in the boot. There must be some frame members that it can clip around and stand on its own or something. I'll have to look at that later, but what a really neat piece to have, and such original cool side screens. So yeah, we'll be using these when I go to fit up the top, just to make sure I get a good fit around these screens. So look at that. This is the original side screens. My friend Richard Owen was here just yesterday, and he installed all the little chrome bezels in the tops of the doors here so that I could fit the side screens. So with those installed, here they are. And wow, really ingenious. You can see they go really long off the front of the door. When we first installed them, it was like, how do you even do this? But you have to install them with the door open, and then you can put them on, and then when you close the door, this just sweeps over the front scuttle here. And yeah, and they actually go behind, in this area behind the windscreen frame. You can see the passenger side is a much better fit, but yeah, it just tucks right in there like that. Really nice fit, great design, and it has this part that opens like this. Really neat, and that's all it's original. There's a little rubber there, and then the handle on the outside. Interesting, the handle's on the outside, not on the inside. But yeah, so, and you can see this is that same material that the topping and tonneau were made out of. So again, somebody's dyed this black. You can see areas of red on it. It was originally red. I'm going to be dyeing it again, I believe. I'm going to be polishing the screens themselves with some plastic polish to try and take some of the scratches and marks out of it, and then dyeing these to be a dark blue like the rest of the topping. So, and that should complete the side screens. Now I've just installed these now because as I'm getting closer to finishing the top, I will be fitting the top with the side screens installed so that I can get a nice fit around these screens with the top. So on to the next thing. You can see also how they kind of stick, they angle off the back of the door, as many side screens generally do with these British cars. It seems to be a common practice. Okay, and look at that. The original top still fits. I mean, it's really tight, but yeah, just drops right on there. It is such a simple thing. These are just a pair of big wide C channels. And with a joint in the middle, you can see, so that you can fold it up and stow it in the trunk. You know, there's a 3-inch gap in the middle, and it's just joined with a piece of leather that's riveted to the steel. Okay, and inside here, the topping just comes around the front edge and tucks in, and then it's riveted along the inside with a soft foam seal that just hugs the windshield. And it just drops down over top of the windshield frame. And here at the front, you can see how it comes and wraps around. It's just got these simple clips that grab onto these hooks on the windscreen. And you got inner flaps, similar to like most tops do. So the side screen will ride, that'll be on the inside of the side screen. The side screen will kind of fit just under this edge. And you can see this whole thing is edged in Furflex. Same stuff as Heelys use for draft seal in the doors. At least hundreds use those. Commonly used stuff. Of course, it's all, again, lift the dot fasteners everywhere, no 10X. There's that frame, again, that it joins in the middle so you can take it apart and stow it easily. Yeah, and so you got Furflex going along the window openings, but also protecting the bodywork all the way around. You get a soft piece of Furflex that helps make a nice seal against the body, and also protects the paintwork. So I can use this as a pattern, and or the basis for my pattern, and I'll just copy it and make our new one in dark blue material like the Tonneau. So amazing that just drops right on. After all these years, it's been stored in boxes. Just fits beautifully. So I just wanted to cover, as I'm starting to take this apart to make patterns and recreate this thing, just little details. This header rail assembly is such a unique thing. I've never seen anything like it. It's very simple, just these 2 pieces of C channeling that wrap around the front of the windshield. And of course, I've just pulled out, this is the seal that goes against the chrome windshield, protects it and seals it. And it's just some thin, like 1/8-inch foam rubber. And then in the center here, it's like, you know, a 3-inch gap between the 2 pieces, and it's joined by, you know, the topping material. This is a patch that's been sewn on here at some point. I don't believe it's original, because it's pretty crudely done on the outside. But yeah, the topping material wraps over this, and then you've got this leather strap, and it's had a pair of split rivets, copper split rivets with washers. This one's missing, but you can see the hole is still there. And this one has ripped off here, but its hole is also still there. And then there's more of these rivets going along that hold the topping. Now those aren't split rivets, those are compression rivets. So I have something similar that we can reuse up there. So when I go to fit the top, you know, I'll basically install all the snaps first, get the bows set up, install all the rear, and then pull it forward and draw a line, you know, as to where it needs to go on this header rail assembly. I'll just set the header rail assembly up on the windscreen first, and then I can, once I've drawn my line, I can take the whole thing off and wrap the topping inside there and rivet the rail to it and finish it off with the seal. Tricky and interesting. These are gonna have to get re-chromed, but these are the latches, and this car has a different one on either side, and I'm not sure if that's how it always was, or if you can see somebody's done a repair. There's lots of repairs that you can see. Like, that's not an original piece of elastic. It doesn't exist on the other side. I think just to stop that from flapping so much. Yeah, you can see this one has this knurling under the head and the other one does not. So yeah, when closed, that's what you see. Yeah, this one does not have knurling and is a slightly different shape on the end here. Interesting. And here we have the finished top. So, boy, was it ever a project getting that all sorted out. But man, does it look nice now that it's on. And yeah, really simple thing. Like I say, that whole header rail, there's like a 3-inch gap in the middle with a big piece of leather that holds it inside. And so you can fold the whole header rail in half for stowing it in the trunk. And the rest is just snapped around the back. And the frame itself comes apart in 2 pieces so you can stow it in the trunk. So a really simple top on these. So there it is, the finished top, a thing of beauty. And yeah, finishes off this car nicely. So really happy with how this comes around here like that with these original clips and the fur flex around the inside. Just looks fabulous. And yeah, like I say, this whole header rail can just come off and fold in half for stowage in the boot. So really simple top. And these side screens, as you can see, I dyed the original material and I polished up the plexi as best I could. I think maybe at a later date I would like to take these and totally rebuild them and replace the plexi because it is cracked in a number of spots and some pretty deep scratches and others that weren't able to polish out. And because they are just flat pieces, it would be easy to get them recut and make new ones. And these, you know, at the same time, I could retrim these frames in new material that's the exact same as the top. I mean, I got it pretty darn good. You can't really tell now that it's dyed to be the same, but it would be pretty easy to rebuild these completely and just replace what needs to be done. Yeah, but that's looking really good. And you can see these nicely clamped down. I cleaned those up. And yeah, nicely fits in there. And this opens up. And you can see here's this fur flex. It goes along the edges here. You can see the inside. There's that leather strap in the upper center there. And there's the frame. Of course, it has to be sent out for powder coating yet. That's something we can do at a later date. But just to get the top fitted at least, we've done it. So you can see the fur flex going along the back there against the bodywork. So yeah, that looks really good. Really happy about that. So that's coming towards the end of this project. All that's left now is a few extras that he asked for. He wanted some tool bags, and of course I've also done a bag for his spare wheel. So you can see here the finished boot interior. This is the spare wheel cover that I made for him in matching vinyl. Of course, there's his tonneau cover, and underneath of that is his original side screen bag. I took patterns of it, but it was in great condition, so all I did was just re-dyed it because there was no damage to it. And so after re-dyeing it, reinstalled it, and of course it has the side screens in it. It's pretty neat. It has those little straps that go, you can see there, they attach it to the frame members on either side, so it holds the bag in place for you, so you can just undo the flap, the snaps, and open it up, and there's your side screens there. So nicely protected with the blanket in between them. So easy access. Like I say, the bag just mounts and stays in here. Pretty neat. So yeah, all of his accessories. You see there's tonneau cover. Pop that back in place. And of course the whole top and top frame will stow back here as well. The top frame comes apart in 2 pieces, and the top itself comes apart and folds in half. The whole header rail folds in half, so it would all stow back here. And of course I've made him a bag for his Shelly jack, same as Austin Healy's had, a little bag like that. And there's his fuel pump, and then I've made him a custom tool roll as well for his tools. He's just collected a few pieces, but this will do what he needs. It's got the little pockets for all the tools, and you can just have it rolled up back here. So yeah, that completes it. The only one thing I have left back here, I've seen for the knockoff hammer, which you'd have that back here. Actually, original cars that had that ribbed rubber here instead of carpet, right about here, just on the left side, there's like another one of those little loop straps with a lift the dot. There was one of those here to hold the hammer, like right here on the floor. So I'm gonna make one of those little straps up for him, and just make it so it'll fit his hammer properly. Yeah, that finishes off the boot and finishes off pretty much the rest of this car. So that will be it for me. So until next time, this is a beautiful AC Ace. Very glad to have trimmed this. Until next time, I'm Geoff Chrysler, a detail enthusiast and owner of Rightway Heritage Trimming. If you have an AC Ace that you'd like trim for, I have all the patterns, so I can make you carpet sets, tops, tonneaus, whatever you need, seat covers, everything. So you can get a hold of me, rightwayheritagetrim.com, and hopefully we'll hear from you. Talk to you again.